Okie dokie, this is the third and final of writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So in this case, we have a chart. Write the linear equation that would yield the chart. We have some x's and y's, and from those we have points. So we have a point of 4, -7. We have a point of 2, -4. We have a point of 0, -1, so on and so forth. So remember that we are trying to equal something or write the equation y equals mx plus b. And so in this case, we're not explicitly given our slope, so we need to use 2 points like we did in previous videos to find the slope. Now remember that the slope equation to find slope from 2 points is y2 minus y1 divided by x2, oh my, minus x1, okay, that's 2. Okay, so we can choose any 2 points from this chart, and if it is truly a linear equation, then we will get the same slope. And I'm going to prove that to you this first time. So I'm going to choose these first 2 points here, and so I'm going to label these points as x1 and x2, and y1 and y2. If I could get my pen to work, that would be super great. Oh, here we go. Y1, and that's a sideways y. Oh well, y2. Okay, so I'm just going to plug these into this equation, which isn't very legible, but we have y2, which is -4, minus y1, which is -7, divided by x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is 4. So I'm just going to rewrite this because we have minus a negative, which is equal to adding, or the same as adding. So I'm just going to rewrite this as -4 plus 7 divided by 2 minus 4, and from here I'm going to solve. So we have a -4 plus 7, which is 3, and we have 2 minus 4, which gets us -2. So given these 2 points, it states that our slope is going to be 3, -2, or -3/2. Be reminded that when it comes to slope, we keep it as an improper fraction. So just to show that we can get the same slope by choosing any 2 points, I'm going to choose 2 different points, and we'll get the same slope. So I'm going to choose this point 0, -1, and I'm going to label that as x1, y1. And I'm going to choose -4, 5, and label that as x2, y2. All right, so we're going to plug these into the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 to find the slope between these 2 points, and it should be the same. So we have y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is -1, divided by x2, which is -4, minus x1, which is 0. So we have the minus negative again, which is the same as adding, so I'm just going to rewrite this. So instead of 5 minus -1, it's going to be 5 plus 1, divided by -4 minus 0. So 5 plus 1 is 6, and -4 minus 0 is -4. Now this can be reduced. Both can be divided by 2, and so that would get us 3/2, -3/2, which is exactly the same. So you can see we can choose any 2 points from this chart and get the same slope. So in this case, we got that the slope, which is m, is equal to -3/2. Now, in this case, we still need to find our b, which is our y-intercept. And remember that y-intercept is anywhere x equals 0. So we lucked out with this chart that we actually have a place where x equals 0 right here. And when x equals 0, y equals -1, which means that our y-intercept, which is b, is going to be equal to -1. So if we write out our equation of y equals mx plus b, we're going to have y equals m, which is our slope, -3/2 x. Now we could put plus -1, but plus a negative is the same as minus, so we're just going to put -3/2 minus 1. And that is the linear equation that would yield that chart. All right, so let's move on to another example. Write the linear equation that would yield the chart. This is very similar. We can choose any 2 points. The only difference with this chart is that we do not have a place where x equals 0, so we don't have an explicitly stated y-intercept, but we'll get to that later. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our slope. We could choose any 2 points. I'm going to choose these last 2 points here. That was supposed to be a circle, but didn't work out. So with these last 2 points, I'm going to label them x1, y1, or x2, and y1, y2. And I'm going to plug them into our slope equation, which is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 is 8. So we're going to have 8 minus y1, which is 6, divided by x2, which is negative 1, minus x1, which is negative 3. So again, we have this minus negative, which would be the same as adding. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation as 8 minus 6 divided by negative 1 plus 3. So 8 minus 6 is 2, and negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So our slope in this case is 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 1. So we could just write this one as 1. Now, we don't have an actual y-intercept on this chart that we can see. So what we can do is we have y equals mx plus b, and we have our m, which is 1. And what we have is we have y's and x's. All of these here are x's and y's, so we could choose any points to plug in there. I'm just going to choose this point at random, and then we're going to solve for b, which is our y-intercept. So I have y, 4 is our y. 4 is equal to, our slope is 1. 1 times x, our x in this case is going to be negative 5, so 1 times negative 5 plus b. So all I need to do is solve for b. So right here I'm going to multiply the 1 times negative 5, so I get 4 is equal to negative 5 plus b. And so now I have this negative 5, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 to both sides to undo what has been done to this b here. So that gets rid of those, and then I have 4, that's plus 5, which is 9, is equal to b. So that means that our y-intercept is b. So our final equation is going to be y equals 1x plus 9. All right, so we have one more example right here, which does not have a chart, but it gives us 2 points. So write the linear equation of a line that passes through points 2, negative 4, and 4, negative 5. So again, what we need to do is we need to find the slope first. So we have x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So I'm going to find the slope with our equation of y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That's an x2 already. And so we have our y2, which is negative 5. So we have negative 5 minus y1, which is negative 4, divided by x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 2. Again, we have this minus and negative, so I'm just going to rewrite this as negative 5 plus 4. That's a plus, okay, and 4 minus 2. And so now I'm going to solve. I have negative 5 plus 4, which is going to give us a negative 1, and that 4 minus 2, which is 2. So our slope is going to be negative half. Now again, we have this time where we have our slope and points, but we do not have our y-intercept. So we could choose either point and plug it in for x and y in our slope-intercept equation, and then we can solve for b, which is our y-intercept. So I'm going to choose these. So we have y equals mx plus b, and y in this is negative 4. So we have negative 4 is equal to m, our slope, which we figured out is negative 1/2, times x, which is 2, plus b. So first thing we need to do is do negative 1/2 times 2. 1/2 of 2 is 1, and it's going to be negative. So I have negative 4 is equal to negative 1 plus b. And so now in order to undo what's been done to this b, we need to add 1 to both sides. -4 plus 1 is -3. So we get that -3 is equal to b. That means our y-intercept is -3. And so if we write the equation, then we're going to have y is equal to our slope, which is -1/2 x, and it's going to be -3. And that is the equation of the line that passes through those 2 points. Awesome. There you have it.